Samyukta Poetry began during the heart of the 2020, COVID-19 lockdown. I have been an on and off poet for a while. In the sense, some months I would write poetry, then for some years I wouldn't write any. It was like that. But Dr. G.S. Jayashree of the Samyukta Research Foundation, who's also my teacher, she, I suppose, noticed something, and she said, "Look, why don't you start a portal for poetry?" For Samyukta. And this had been an idea that was there at the back of my mind, but being of a slightly lazy disposition, I hadn't picked it up. So now this was kind of being asked as a covert Guru Dakshina. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll begin it. And then, at a very rudimentary level, using just a laptop and a colleague's brother's friend who knew about setting up websites and blogs, etc., we started Samyukta Poetry on 14th of April 2020. And what we began doing is we began to ask poets to send in their submissions. We began to curate poets and look at their poetry and the kind of work that they're doing, and we would ask them to send in some of their work. And what we did as part of the editorial process was not just to take their poems and splash it on the screen. What we did was that we spent time with it, sat down, lived with their poems, and we would try to find out the essence or the raison d'etre behind these poems, and what the poet is trying to convey.
And especially with the rise of what we call speculative fiction, especially in the novel, right, with science fiction, science fantasy, we wanted to see what the short story looked like around the turn of the century and in the new century.
I've had poets coming back and saying, look, we have this book out, would you like to talk about it? And I know that it is on account of the fact that they feel heard, and that what we say has a wider audience and reach.